Hello board game brothers and sisters, I'm Adam Singer and welcome to another episode where I'll be letting you know of Kickstarters launching this week. We just cleared 4,000 subscribers, which is a pretty epic milestone, and it means that we just unlocked 4K ultra high def. Who knew that's how it worked? But honestly, thanks so much for being a part of all this. It's awesome to see how far we've come, and this community just constantly keeps amazing me. What? You want me to make good on the promise I made a couple episodes ago? I don't know what you're talking about. What? You have video proof? You're bluffing. You just texted me proof? Let me see. Thanks for watching this video so far, and if you find this info useful, please smack that like and subscribe button for a board game shelf reveal at 4,000 subs. Okay, you're right. I do say things like that, and we will have a shelf reveal, but I'm tired and overworked, and I'm going to need your help to make this special bonus video. So make sure to back that like button now, and I'll create a special 4K shelf reveal episode going through each game on my shelf if this video hits
150 likes.
But for now, let's check out the Kickstarters. And the first one we have is on July 5th, and it's called The Art of Boxing Clever. And this is a 2-player game that takes about 60 to 120 minutes to play. And this is a game that aims to simulate everything to do with real-life boxing. This means a boxer's stance, style, and stats are all represented. Players will be targeting different areas of their opponent's body, attempting to consistently inflict damage by exploiting their weaknesses while protecting their own. Cards represent your stamina, and if you take damage, you must discard a card. The match continues until a player's hand is depleted or a knockout or technical knockout is achieved. Each fighter has their own set of cards, and the game centers around timely selection of punch and defense cards to inflict damage to selected areas of the opponent's head and body while protecting your own. Damage is tracked, and consequences are also specific to each fighter. The game plays over a 10-round match with 3 scoring judges. Each round involves 5 turns of attacking and defending, each including 2 potentially defendable attack moves, 1 to a selected area of the head and 1 to an area of the body. The gameplay creates poker-style opportunities for bluffing and counter-bluffing, and the variety of cards provide multiple combinations to outmaneuver your opponent. Also on the 5th is the campaign for Floes Foes, which plays 2 to 6 players and takes only 15 to 30 minutes to play. And this is a game where players will be saving seals and whales by using these really cool ice terrain components on a raised board. And players will be taking turns shifting and moving the ice in order to try and shove hunters and fishing boats off the board without knocking off the seals and whales. Each fishing boat and hunter you shove off the board gets you 1 point, and the first to get 5 points wins the game. On a turn, you'll be adding 3 ice floes onto the board, constantly deforming the play area and pushing other pieces off the other side. This is a family weight game, and the neat components, short play time, and straightforward rule set will definitely help with younger children. The deluxe Kickstarter version will offer acrylic components to really sell that Arctic feel. If this one sounds interesting to you, I have links to all these campaigns in the description below. And the next few games we have are launching on July 6th, and the first one we have is Platformer, which will be launching on the GameFound platform. This plays 2 to 4 players and takes about an hour to play. And this is from Awaken Realms line of light games, so you can expect a simpler rule set but still enjoy a ton of minis thrown in that may or may not feel forced into the game. The game itself plays off those classic platformer video games, which is something I haven't really seen before in a board game, and players will be competing to race up the platforms, fight different monsters, and gather gold and items such as weapons, potions, and other helpful gear. Each game offers a randomly generated map of tiles, often featuring traps and monsters, and the next level of platforms is only revealed once you reach it. Players can mess with each other by pushing opponents onto the next platform below, or even pushing monsters onto another player's platform, instigating a fight. On the very top, there's an arch enemy waiting for you that you may recognize, like Cthulhu or Medusa or other creatures from different mythos. Each boss has their own set of special attacks that players will have to navigate, and players will be competing to be the first one to take that boss out. I also just want to make a quick mention of the Clash and Cultures reprint, and this is going to be the Monumental edition of the game. I'm not going to dig too deep into this one. It's not actually going to a crowdfunding platform, but they are running their own pre-order that's following the same sort of structure as a campaign. And I'll have this linked in the description below. Also on the 6th is Finders Creeperz, and this plays 2 to 4 players and takes about 15 to 45 minutes to play. And this is a roll and move game that's suitable for younger players, and the goal is to be the first player around the board. Players will control their main characters, but they'll also be controlling a creeper, and players will roll their dice to move, set traps, and face different skill testing challenges that will help or hinder their progress around the board. If a player's creeper reaches another player, it can send them back to the previous trap or to the start of the board. Players are only able to move their creepers if they roll a 6, at which point they can spend any amount of movement points between their creeper and their main character. And next we have Distilled, which plays 1 to 4 players and takes about 30 to 120 minutes to play. And in Distilled, you've inherited a distillery from a long-lost relative, and your goal is to create the world's most renowned spirits, earning you the most victory points at the end of the game. The game's main mechanisms are resource management and push your luck, and each player will have their own player mat that represents their distillery, and they'll also have a unique ability based on the character that they have inherited the distillery from. The game plays over 7 rounds, and players will be crafting 1 spirit each round. Each round also has 4 phases, starting with the market phase, where players will be buying basic and premium items and ingredients from a shared market. And then all the remaining phases all take place on the players' player boards. The distill phase allows players to place cards in their distillery and make and barrel spirits. This phase also uses the distillery portion of your playmat, which has 3 spaces for players to create and modify a really neat individual tableau of how they want their distillery to operate. The sell phase is when players bottle and sell their spirits that they just produced or that they have aged in their warehouse. And selling spirits, of course, grants you money and victory points depending on the spirit that you sold. Which brings me to the 4th phase, which is the age phase, where players can add spirits to their warehouse, and any spirits located in this area gain a token each round, making them more desirable. To make a spirit, each player starts with a recipe board, and everyone can already make vodka and moonshine from the start of the game because these are the easiest spirits to make. So although you have the recipe for the other spirits, you'll still need to learn how to make them and gain their ingredients to do so. And this one's going to be my pick of the week for a few reasons. The gameplay on this one looks really solid, and that's something that really impressed me because of how well the theme is tied into the gameplay. For example, on the distill phase, once you've collected your ingredients and you're creating your recipe, you'll be adding yeast and water to your recipe-specific ingredients, which act as the source of sugar. And the way that brewing actually works is that the yeast eats away at the sugars to create a byproduct that we all know as alcohol. So the way that the game accurately portrays this is for each sugar in your recipe, you'll be adding 1 alcohol card to your stack of ingredients during the distillation phase. And adding these cards is a good thing because it helps with the push your luck aspect of this game, which I'll explain shortly. All these ingredients get put into your washback tub, which is represented on the left side of the board, and then they're mixed, which is represented by flipping the cards face down and shuffling them. And in real life, the first and last part of a run is actually toxic and can blind you. Distillers know this, and this portion gets removed, but distillers also know that this portion can be reused in a future recipe. And the game accurately represents this as well because you'll be removing the top and bottom card of your deck representing those parts of the run and keeping those cards for later. The catch here is that if you remove the cards that are specific to your recipe could fail and you end up making vodka instead of whatever you were intending to make. Luckily, you can mitigate this by adding more of those ingredients at the start of the phase so that if those do happen to get pulled out, you still have the required amount to make your intended recipe. So you can see how tight the theme and mechanisms work here, and that's really cool because more often than not, it's the opposite in games where I find myself overlooking thematic disconnects with the mechanisms in order to make the game work. And as an added bonus, Push Your Luck is actually one of my favorite mechanisms because I love how it adds chaos to your game, but also allows each player to decide how much risk they want to mitigate, but at a cost. And in this case, that cost would be putting additional ingredient cards in. There's a lot of reviews on the rating tab, which all of you know that I love to see. It shows me that the game has been play tested, and there are a lot of great reviews in here with some really great comments. And I'm really not surprised because this game was actually a finalist for the Ion Design Award, as well as the Cardboard Edison Design Award. Both of these are really impressive because both are very large design contests with a ton of really tough competition. And both get you some great feedback from other designers and publishers. And the great thing about Kickstarter campaigns is also the problem with them, and that's that anyone can make a campaign. And unlike a publisher, Kickstarter isn't going to vet your game and make sure it's properly tested and sellable. And this is why buying from Kickstarter can be such a risk. So I really love to see the designer doing all this extra work, entering their game in design contests, doing constant playtesting, getting feedback from professionals, and doing everything to make their game as great as possible. And it really shows with this game. These are the type of things that we should be looking for to give us confidence when backing a game. Really amazing work by the designer here. Definitely check out their campaign in the description below and click that notification button to get notified. In the next campaign, also on the 6th, is Prise De Fer, which is a 2-player game that takes about 15 minutes to play. And Prise De Fer is a pocket-sized game which replicates a sword fight. Each player is dealt 7 cards from a shared 18-card deck, which represents their available attacks and defenses for the next exchange. Players take turns placing cards to cut and parry at one another while simultaneously attempting to take control of the attack when possible, as players can switch between the attacker and defender roles. When a player lands a hit, a point is scored and all cards are shuffled together and 7 new cards are dealt to each player. Win 5 rounds and you win the game. And on July 7th, we have Volfyirion Guilds, which plays 1 to 2 players and takes about 20 to 40 minutes to play. And this is a competitive standalone sequel to the game Volfyirion, and this takes place immediately after its events. This is a deck building game, and each player represents a guild fighting for supremacy. Players will be attempting to do this by destroying 3 of their opponent's cities, and whoever does this first wins the game. The game offers different tactics, like attacking directly with your troops, focusing on deck thinning, or trying to activate powerful combos. Or you can also try and tame the Volfyirion dragon and burn your opponent's cities to the ground. Players' starting hands are symmetrical, but will diverge as they build and refine their deck. Each card provides a combination of points, and spending those points permits the player to perform actions during their turn. Layered on top of this is 3 types of points: the command, wonder, and knowledge, and each allows a different style of action to be played. This new iteration adds 2 new types of cards, agents and vaults. Agents carry out delicate tasks for the guilds and grant an alternative way to acquire cards. Vaults help to trigger specific combos and enhance the player choices and strategies, but these benefits are only unlocked when a city is lost, which helps give a slight edge to the losing player and prevent runaway games. This game can be combined with the original game, which will also be offered in the campaign, along with the 120mm dragon miniature. Also on the 7th is Soul Raider, and this plays 1 to 4 players and takes about 2 to 4 hours to play. And this is a cooperative story-driven game from the designer of Splendor. And in this game, players become powerful warrior mages in a high fantasy world, fighting back against different threats to their order and the entire world. Each chapter takes place in a different setting with its own story deck and objectives hidden within. Players will need to obtain these objective cards and complete them to win the game. Similar to 7th Continent, players will act simultaneously to explore their surroundings, and players can split up as they see fit, and health is tracked as a shared pool, and if health runs out, the chapter is failed. But that's not all you'll have to worry about, because there's also a threat tracker that will also be increasing throughout the chapter, and the chapter is also failed if it gets too high. Failed chapters don't lose you the game, but they will trigger a unique setback in the next chapter. To win a chapter, players will need to gather all the cards with star icons before their threat level gets too high or before their health runs out. Stars are hidden in different locations and can be collected in any order. A red star is earned for main objectives, while black stars are earned for secondary objectives, and a different number of stars are required depending on the player count. Each chapter has an undetermined number of rounds, but each round has an action and reaction phase. The action phase is where players move, engage in combat, perform special actions, or cast spells, while the reaction phase is where the game reacts and players will find themselves facing stress, injuries, ferocious monsters, and many other events that will threaten their progression in the chapter. This definitely looks like a solid game, and I'm not surprised that it's our Discord pick of the week. If you like exploration games, this looks like a great opportunity to jump in. I'm a huge fan of 7th Continent, but it does get a little ambiguous where you're not really sure where you're supposed to go. Soul Raiders looks like it's going to give you a little bit more direction and be a little bit more streamlined. And I really like how it offers the unique decks for each chapter so that you're not going to be re-exploring the same areas over and over again. I also like how a loss doesn't reset the whole game, it just sets you back a little bit for the next chapter. And I think it's really cool that even a loss triggers a unique event for each chapter, so even losing offers narrative for you to explore. If all that sounds interesting to you, I have links in the description below. Thanks for watching the video so far. If you find this info useful, please back that like and subscribe button for a special video that I haven't decided yet reveal at 5,000 subs. And if you'd like to help out the channel while still getting something nice for your shelf, check out Kickstartergames.com and use the code SHELFCLUTTER to get a massive 15% off your entire cart. Kickstartergames.com has a ton of games, so if there's one you've been looking to buy, head over there and save yourself some cash. A small portion of any sales made there will come back and help this channel so that I can afford the required coffee to make these videos. I truly appreciate the help, and I hope that this sponsorship offers you some value as well, so check out Kickstartergames.com in the description below. And on July 9th, we have Milhouette, which plays 3 to 6 players and takes about 30 to 45 minutes to play. And this is a party game where players tell fortunes using 3 cards. 1 card is drawn by the player who will have their fortune told, while 2 cards are drawn by every other player. Each card displays a series of silhouettes of different objects and creatures, and players will have to combine their 2 cards with the fortune-seeking player's card in order to tell them their fortune. This player then decides whose foretelling resonated with them the most, and that fortune teller scores a point. Players will alternate their roles so that all players have had their fortune told, and the player with the most points wins the game. And that's it for this week, but don't leave yet because we have some awesome giveaways to announce. And the first one we have is Velocity Vanguard, and in this game, players are commanders of a vanguard of ships with the mission to discover what lies beyond the far reaches of space. Players choose their faction, crew, ships, and modules. As you progress story-driven missions, you'll encounter asteroids, defense stations, and powerful automated enemies. You'll have to activate ship modules, weapons, defense systems, scanners, as well as support and specialist crew members to operate the different areas of your ship in order to explore and deal with these different challenges and opportunities. The game offers solo, co-op, and competitive story-driven missions, skirmish modes, and you can even build your own scenarios as well. And this giveaway is going to be for the Vanguard core game pledge as well as all stretch goals. And to enter this giveaway, just leave a comment down below with the hashtag Velocity and let us know what role you would play on an exploration spaceship. For me, I'm an engineer, so I guess that throws me in the engineering crew. I'm great with software, so I guess I'd be connecting all the systems and propulsion together into an easy-to-use interface. But if there's a greater need for entertainment and the sanity of the crew, maybe I'd find myself teaching board games. And the next giveaway is for Kleptokittens, and this is a push-your-luck memory game where players will take turns flipping cards in a set time limit, attempting to find as many pairs as possible. For each pair found, you gain a treasure token, which is used to help you win the game, and you can also find catnip, which adds a multiplier to your score. The more points you gain, the riskier the game becomes, since turning up a spray bottle busts and ends your turn immediately. This means that if you have a particularly good turn, you may want to end it early to stash your points. And this giveaway is going to be for the Kleptokittens base pledge. And I'm going to run this giveaway over on the Discord, and all you have to do to enter is head over to the giveaways channel and then click this little emoji underneath the post. And the winner will get automatically drawn in a week. And now let's go ahead and draw the winners for last week's giveaways. And I use this application here to draw a winner. And all these extra names down here are bonus entries from my Patreon subscribers. If you like this sort of content and you want to help out the channel, definitely check that out. And it also gets you some really nice bonus entries into these giveaways. And I have an explanation of how those bonus entries work on my Patreon page, which you can check out in the description below. And the first giveaway we're going to draw for is for First Ascent. So let's go ahead and grab those comments and draw a winner. And our winner is Chris Orban. Congratulations, Chris. I'll reach out to you and let you know you won yourself a pledge for Ascent. And the next giveaway is for a pledge for BattleFish. So let's go ahead and grab those comments and draw a winner. And there weren't too many comments last week, so I expect this winner is also going to be from Patreon. And the winner is another Patreon subscriber, and that's Michael Wolcott. Congratulations, Michael. I'll reach out to you and let you know you won yourself a pledge for BattleFish. And that's everything for this week. Thanks for tuning in. And I know my videos have been going up a little bit later than usual. Ever since I moved, I've been relying on slower internet, so make sure to tweet at Elon Musk and tell him to hurry up with that Starlink already. And as always, keep that shelf cluttered and the table full.